in the comment section. We'll get some. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are. We'll get. We're. This is going to be a really interesting discussion. I apologize. I have some feedback in the background. It'll be a really interesting discussion around the game coming up between Jamaica and the USA. Before we jump into this, I want to make sure we definitely recognize recognize our sponsors. So, and subsequent to having our sponsors provide their products to you, we'll have my special guests coming in subsequent to these advertisements.
I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you a go love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen.
Trick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the pre-game show for the Jamaica versus USA game. And I'm pleased to welcome in my special guest, Mr. Fortune, a regular on the Man is Man, or I Am Sure Sports program. Andre, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Kronke. How you doing?
I am doing well. I don't think I've anticipated a game this much in a long.
Yeah, I can imagine, my friend.
It's amazing when you believe that you have quality on your side of the field.
Mm.
You feel good about your chances going forward. Before I start, but I want to say this: man has so much sponsors. He has more sponsors than the JFF. I was playing all these sponsorship and saying, when is it going to finish?
Well, I interviewed someone the other day who owns a media outlet in Trinidad, and he says, in the back room, and I was saying to him that, look, we got to go through about 3 minutes of adverts. He said he got scared because he said that's much more than he had.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm here. Today's your day. The competition opener tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow, Trinidad is up against St. Kitts and Nevis.
You must be looking for. I mean, we won't talk about your game for tomorrow. We leave that for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I will say that I'm looking forward to seeing Trinidad play, given that I think and St. Kitts play because they have done well to come this far and to be part of the Gold Cup, probably their first time ever. So it would be interesting to see how that game turn out. But today this is all about Jamaica USA game.
Look, and I tell you, I'm anticipating this game, I believe, as much as you are, because I think something needs to change in the region. When you look at the past, if you look at the Gold Cup, the USA have competed in 17 Gold Cups and they have won 67 matches, right? Which is the most among by any team. They have dominated this, and Mexico with 57 out of 17 as well. So I think Jamaica is in a position to begin to change that. We
would love to see the Caribbean in general, especially English-speaking Caribbean, do well in the Gold Cup, regardless, right? Obviously, I want Jamaica to do well. And I have on my, by the way, I have on my pre-game jersey. This is not my game jersey.
Okay.
Because after this pre-game, we're coming back at 10 o'clock, which is Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Jamaica time, 9 o'clock Central Time, to do a watch-along. So this is my pre-game journey. I'll bring out the real thing. Come 10:06 is when the game's starting. I'll come 10 o'clock when I start the stream.
This is the calm before the storm.
It's the calm before the storm. So here's what's interesting, Andre, which I find interesting, actually. We haven't won a game in the last 10 games,
Yeah, that is true.
We haven't won the last 10 games, and yet we are this optimistic, which probably tells you something about how we view the team as currently constituted. What are your thoughts on the team? First of all, what's your thoughts on your vision for the game? We're going to talk about the team that informs that game.
Well, look, I think when you look at the squad that Jamaica have for tonight, and you look at the squad that the opponent has put out, there are 5 players that was part of the squad for their last World Cup, and I don't think any of them played much. They were all on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. They do have 6 players that competed in the last World Cup, and they have the rest of the squad is made up of players that they not the rest, but most of the rest of the squad is made up of players that they're trying to, that's gonna with very little international games under the belt, So I think that this is a squad that, when you compare the 2 squads on paper, I have to ask, why do you look so nervous?
Well, here's what's interesting about that. The U.S. nowadays, strangely enough, if I'm probably old enough to know when the U.S. was okay.
Right.
They weren't great. They have so much resources.
Mm-hmm.
They've allowed to build up their program.
Mm-hmm.
And they now have so much volume of players. And think about it, the U.S. source players from everywhere, right? Not only do they source players internally, they go find them far and wide. They just added Balogun to their team, even though he's not playing in this tournament. So therefore, because of the resources and their reach, they can afford to have 2, 3, 4 teams and still be competitive. In fact, the last time they won this competition, it wasn't their best team, right? They used the same concept in terms of the team they put on the field.
Right.
And they won the last time. So, and they have probably surpassed Mexico in the region. So at one point, Mexico was on top. They became almost even, and then they're pulling away. And I think that's going to be very difficult for Mexico to handle. But I think what the U.S. has done really well is also export players, which they've been doing more and more over time. So the players are playing in the highest league, so they should be able to be competitive.
Not just that they've exported players, they have a league that, at least the leagues that they have in the U.S. is continuing to grow. It's becoming more competitive. They're attracting players from South America, from different parts of the world. And that league has certainly gotten better than it, in the past 20 years. It has really grown a lot, to where you have, despite the fact that they are coming to the end of their career, but you have guys like Busquets and Messi joining the league. And you also have, young players with good potential, like Thiago Almada, who's probably going to end up in Europe somewhere. So the game has grown tremendously in the US. So sometimes I think people miss that and still see the league as it was maybe 15 years ago. So they're going to be competitive. There's no doubt about that. I expect them to be competitive. I don't think it doesn't matter who they put on the pitch. I think they have a certain spirit about them. They're going to come out and fight. You see it against Mexico the other night. It was not just football, but it was fight. They fought very, very hard. So Jamaica would have a task. It would be a competitive match, but Jamaica, I understand the feeling. Could you imagine? What do you think? What do you think Cataract is doing at the moment?
Well, my understanding is, and I want to try to bring maybe one or so of them in to discuss with you about the field, is that they've been actually being involved in areas where the players have been. So they've been socializing in areas where the players have been. So yeah, they've been trying to reach. The Cataract always go to the players' hotel, right, to be outside like a groupie. I always call them, but it doesn't matter. It's a fan. So he's always where the players are, trying to meet the players. And I tell you, the players are more accommodating nowadays. Right. So trying to embrace and engage the fan. And frankly, 2 years ago when it was in Orlando, the players were very receptive to the fans. Very receptive, actually. When the game was done, they came over. It was just a really good vibes. So in those environments, especially when you're traveling, it's always great vibes. If the players are receptive, the fans want to engage them, want to embrace them, want to communicate with them. So no, it's a good thing. It's a really, really good vibes, actually. And Cataract's probably going to all 3 games because he takes this very seriously. He calls himself the Ultra, Jamaican Ultra.
The Jamaican Ultra, right? And he keeps talking about his beverage of choice.
Yeah, we were in Florida 2 years ago. He was there, and they do have their beverage of choice, actually. There was someone asking about first of all, I want to respond to Ricardo, who mentioned that he was nervous. Yeah, Ricardo, we all are in some respects. I think it's more anticipation than just being, say, nervous. We are pretty confident, but we don't want to be overconfident. Because as I said at the outset, we haven't won a game in the last 10 games. So where do we get that confidence from? And we'll touch upon that in 2 minutes, is that it's about the team. But for those who want to watch the game is on in the Caribbean, but it's on ESPN, which is really interesting. I think it's ESPN Caribbean and ESPN Play Caribbean. And then in the US, it's on Fox 1. Yes, the games are being shown in a lot of different countries. It's on FS2, actually. FS2 is on, actually. And if you're in different parts of the world, sometimes you go on these IPTV streams, you can probably pick the game up. So hopefully everyone will have an opportunity to sort of watch the game. And more importantly, come and join us while we're watching the game as we give our analysis of the game as it progresses. In terms of players, so the Jamaica team, we don't know what the starting team would be, and we'd probably try to build our own team as we go through the discussion. But there's a lot of anticipation given that Jamaica is now not only recruiting from the Championship and League One and League Two, but the Premier League. We probably have about 4 or 5 Premier League players in the team currently, mainly on the offensive end, which is part of the concern. It's not spread out throughout the team. I don't think Pinnock is here. So it'll be interesting to see how we do. But what's your thoughts on the team?
Look, up front, you have a lot going on up front. Shamar Nichols, Michael Antonio, Leon Bailey. You have a lot to choose from. So my expectation is that you should score some goals. I think, look, the team you just mentioned, you've played about 10 games. It is, and you haven't won a game as yet, and you was questioning, well, where does this expectation come from? The fact of the matter is that these players weren't involved in those games. I don't think they were involved in any of those games, were they? So the squad tonight,
some were, but not all of them. Drops here and there.
But the real marquee players like Michael Antonio and Leon Bailey and those guys, the recent games. So those guys are there tonight. And I think that's where the anticipation, the expectation would come from, because I don't know, you could correct me if I'm right. This is probably the first time this is the strongest squad that Jamaica's probably put together in more recent times.
Yeah, apart from, look, there are some interesting areas of the team. I call it interesting areas versus saying deficiencies. There's some interesting areas of the team. I'm pretty comfortable, I should say with the forward line. When I mean forward, I mean the wingers,
right,
and maybe the 10 and the 9. But as you go further down in the team, and I'm also comfortable with my right and left back, I should say, even though on the right side we have had some challenges. But the heart of your defense, which is your CDM position, your 2 center backs, that's a position of interest, because Lowe has been injured, and he's just come back from injury. Probably hasn't played any ball, so he could pull at any time. Mariappa is at an advanced age, and he's not playing nowadays.
30-something, 36?
36, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And we have Bernard, who just came in, so he's pretty new and seems a little bit rash. So if you look in the center of our defenses, it doesn't give you the most comfort. And in the midfield position, where we have Latibadir and Russell, one of those who played the CDM, Russell is challenged for speed, and Lati seems like even though he's a very versatile player, the game he played for us, he didn't play CDM. So it'd be interesting to see how he does if he's called up on the play there, and then use Johnson as one in the midfield and maybe one of the forwards playing a 10 role. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
So I've heard some people question what's happening at the back, like you just did. But I'm sure the coach spent a lot of time with these players. You had the camp recently in Austria, and I think he would understand better than we would whether or not there is really a problem there, or more importantly, he's been paid to make sure that works. Right, that's his job. So while I understand the argument from for lack of a better term, from a fan perspective, somebody from the outside, we all sometimes have our preferences in players. We have our opinions, but we're not looking through the same lens as the coach, because he's there every day with them. So I would expect him to put a team together that could be very competitive starting tonight.
Yeah, so someone, Micah Ramsey, I'm not sure where Micah Ramsey is from. I'm sure he's not Jamaican. It's probably Trini. Saying only deluded Jamaicans think Jamaica is a collective noun. Should be.
Nah, he can't be a Trini.
I'm going to give you a hard time. You can't be a Trini using
he can't be
agreement failures.
Can't be a Trini. Because when you start talking about delusions, can't be a Trini.
No, but I think some people have that view, which is, Jamaica is pretty confident about their team almost every game, and then have adverse results, and we don't handle that well. But I think there's a reason to be confident and reason to be optimistic. I actually think that the Gold Cup is a prelude to something else, which is we seem to be in a real recruiting kick to bring players into the squad. Because as you know, we export a lot of human capital to the UK subsequent to World War II. That capital has now turned out to be productive from a sports standpoint, especially in football. And some of those players have expressed an interest, even more so than late than before, to play for their, I'm gonna call it their mother country. And frankly, if you think about it, historically we've had a lot of players who play for us, but mainly from the Championship and League One, not the Premier League. The ones who play from us in Premier League mainly, you've had people like Wes Morgan, but it's mainly a record of Fuller Gardner, who we export from locally developed to the UK, and now we have Bailey. Now we're seeing more of those individuals. I think we have maybe 4 or 5 in this team that play in the Premier League. That's part of the squad. So, and we also have some Championship players and League One players. But it bodes well for the country going forward.
Well,
especially
hold on before you go further. I think that point you're making, I think we're going to begin to get the answer to that tonight.
Yes.
I think there's some really good players that has committed to play for Jamaica, but whether or not it's going to work, you know what I'm saying? I think the answer to that is we're going to begin to get the answer to that, because it's difficult sometimes when you bring players in from different backgrounds. I mean, they're all professional, they're all are good players. People sometimes would question. Look, I'm sure that you would agree that there's a portion of the Jamaican public that is not totally comfortable with the idea of so many players coming from the outside and not more of the local players being involved. And that in itself creates an atmosphere around the football that I think does not work very well sometimes, because I think to win, you have to have everybody on the same page. Everybody must be pulling in the same direction.
Look, that's a great point, and we have seen that narrative being expressed continuously. I think winning is the elixir. So when you start winning and winning against better teams, given the influx of these players and they start producing, there's nothing like, if you go back to '98 and you experienced it with Trinidad when you went to the World Cup, when you're winning, nothing else matters.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
You just ride that train. We're wagonists. If we're winning, we're going to be on the train.
Right.
Even if we're not comfortable that we have local players like we want. And frankly, people say you're a nationalist because you want local players. No, you're a localist. Because if the person has a passport and is a citizen, they are from that country that they're representing. So you're not being a nationalist. That's a misnomer. You're a localist. And you have to broaden your horizon. So we're all about excellence. And in any environment you're operating, if you have excellence, it'd be amazing how you get embraced. And I'll give you an example where that excellence manifests itself. Look at the US composition of the US team today. When you and I were watching US way back when, that demographics of the team was much different from it is today.
Yeah.
You look at that team, Canada and the US,
Yep.
that composition of that team and the demographics was way different from it is today. And that's because people are focused on outcomes and not necessarily focused on how it's comprised. They focus on, am I going to get the results I want?
Football, but if it's another industry, you want the best people to do the job for you, right? And you go and you find them. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. You find the best people because you want a good product. So I don't think football is any different. And you guys are benefiting from, the past, and in terms of the investment that you have made in other parts of the world. And so, hey, nobody should envy you, because everybody else, if they have an opportunity to do it, they will do it.
So let's jump in some of these comments here, Andre. So Damien is saying 4-3-3 seems to be the best way to use what is at the team's disposal. Antonio, Bailey, and Burke. Grant Nichols at the 60-minute mark. Johnson, Latty, and Reed in the middle. Maps, Lowe, Bell, and Brown. So Damien's not even thinking about, maybe we don't need any changes. Maybe they're winning and we maintain the same team. He's already making predetermined changes of his selections. Look, I mean, we are going to speculate, and we probably put up what our view of what the team should look like. But we are going to speculate as to what this team should be comprised of. The starting 11 should be, which should be up by 9 o'clock. The game, I know someone's asking about the time of the game. The game is 9:06 Jamaica time and Central Time, 10:06 Eastern Standard Time. So normally you go to, and the game is on FS1, even though I saw something linked on FS2 today, but it's on FS1 in the States, ESPN Caribbean, and I'm sure there are other outlets that are bringing the game also.
I think he's probably going to play a 4-4-2.
You think he's going to play 4-4-2?
Yeah, I think he's going to play a 4-4-2. I think
He seemed to play a hybrid type system.
Yeah, I could see Shamar Nicholson and Mikel Antonio up front in a 4-4-2.
All right, so let's try to see if we can figure out what this team should look like and put this team forward. So I would assume, and you can sell us your own team, those of you who are in the comment section, what you think it looks like. I think we're going to have Blake in goal. I think that's sort of a no-brainer. I think Andre Blake is in goal. Right. So let me see the chat, guys, who you think the team will be comprised of, what your team is. I'm going to put up what I think. I think first we're going to play a 4-2-3-1. I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. That's my guess, actually. On the right will be Lowe if he's fit, which is Damian Lowe. We have no pin-up, is my understanding. So even though I think maybe Bernard should get the nod, I think it's going to be Mariappa. I think it has to be Mariappa. Given how much he has played so far, I think he played the 2 games that we played, practice game we played. And to the left, I would assume that it would be Amari Bell.
Yeah, he didn't look bad in the Qatar game the other.
And he better look good. He's a Premier League player now. And he wasn't cut, because normally when you go from the Championship Premier League, they let go half their players. He's still, I think he has upped his contract with them. So, and then in the midfield, I would expect Latif Bodier to be there. So I'm gonna this is an interesting one. I'm gonna put Latif Bodier there.
Yeah, your midfield is an interesting one to select.
And Latif's name is not popping up, but I will look it up. Now the midfield, you're right, is gonna be really interesting because let me try to put up Latif.
Look, somebody is saying that the game will be on CONCACAF YouTube if you have VPN.
Okay. Well, hopefully that's the case, so people can really get to watch the game. And then I'm gonna put DJ here. So this is my team, people. I will see what you have and make changes accordingly. But this is a team I think it would be. And by the way, I have no inside knowledge about this.
Yeah, that's easy to
see. Make sure that's clear. This is just my perception.
Yeah, that is
no inside knowledge.
That is an important point.
Yeah. I don't want anyone to think that, you know what, Kronke has inside knowledge. He knows at the start 11. I don't. I'm putting Gray at the 10. I think here.
That's interesting. Gray at the 10.
Yeah, I'll get to I'll get to that. My rationale for that. I'm sure people have different views on this. And then out here we'll have has to be Bobby. And then up front is the man. So people, tell me what you think about the team that I just proposed here.
You know, it would be nice if you can get a hold of someone.
Huh? Sorry.
It would be nice if you can get a hold of someone to share what the atmosphere is like.
That would be great, actually. Let me see if I can do that. Actually. Yeah, let me see if I can. You know what? I should try to reach someone before I try to link them. I don't know what they're doing. So let me try to reach. Let me try to reach someone here. But this is my proposed team. Let me tell me what you think about my team. What you think my ratings for the team I'm proposing is? Is it 0? Is it 10? Is it 5? Let me know what that ratings is.
And before
so I can find somebody from
before the people in the comment section, before you rate the team, hit the like button, as man would say. Look, Torp is saying here, my guess is a 4-4-2 with Antonio and Bailey up top, Gray and Bobby on the wings, Johnson
also possible
in the middle.
Let me. Okay, so I guess it's Antonio.
You didn't put it right back.
Oh yes, that we can't play with 10 now, can we?
Yeah. You can play with 12 if you own Chelsea. You could play with 12.
Let me look up Mbikisa. I think it's going to be Dexter acted as a right back. That's the team I'm proposing. I'm getting. Let me see what the feedback I'm getting here on this team. 8. Skywise is saying 8. Come on, people in the section. First of all, hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. And second of all, tell me what your views are on the team. I can make adjustments based on what you think the team should be. So if we go 4-4-2, like you're saying, right? 4-4-2. Then I have to switch. So if you want a 4-4-2, Gray and Bobby on the wings. So Bobby and Gray out right. Gray and Bobby on the wings. Bailey up front. Is this the team?
Here's the problem. Here's a potential problem here. If the intent is to get all of those players on the pitch at the same time, I see that as a real concern, because at the end of the day, yes, you have to score goals, but you have to defend your goal as well, right? So
and good point. But the Premier League players are used to playing defending and going forward. Bobby Reid, maybe it's less so for Bailey, even though he tries. They're used to defending, right? They're used to tracking back. And Lati and DJ also plays there. So, and Bailey's in the middle, so he wants to track back as much. Both Reid and Gray plays for Everton, Reid plays for Fulham. They used to track him back. They don't have the luxury of being able to stay up the field and not helping out their wing backs. So.
Right. So you think Bailey would be best utilized in that position up front as opposed from a wide?
No, I prefer him wide. I'm just proposing what Lemoyne here is saying. I'm just putting his team on the field. But no, the team I put up there, I know Bobby Reid has scored some screamers from playing the 10. I don't think he's comfortable playing the 10 though. And the reason why I consider Gray as the 10 is because Gray has played center forward for Everton quite a bit. Mm-hmm. He's used to playing in the middle of the park. He does a great job of holding the ball up. He can make a pass between the lines. So I view him as a credible person playing the 10. And I don't see the same thing for Bailey, frankly, playing up top. Bobby's very versatile. Bobby plays everywhere, but I think he's more comfortable out wide than he is in the middle.
Well, we're not too far away from finding out what the coach...
No, we're look, we don't have a good idea what the US team is going to look like. We know they're a 23-man squad, but who they'll put on the field is not clear. Probably doesn't matter to us anyway, because it's not the names we know on a regular basis, at least the more prominent players. The players we know, but not the ones who have built reputation overseas.
And look, they have also a situation where they've just put the previous coach back in place because he's been out of the job for a few months because of some personal situation it was in the press. Everybody knows about it. But he's now back in the job, and I think he seems to be a guy that's liked by the players, has the players' support. So that's another dimension, right? Because players know now that that's the guy that they're going to have to impress if they want to be part of his plans for the World Cup qualifiers and such.
Omar, 1 second there, Andre. Oh, can you guys hear first on the phone? Can you hear him, Andre?
Yeah, I can hear.
So Omar,
Yeah, man, I'm here.
tell the people in the background stop making noise. You're on I Am Sure Sports. How are things going? Are you at the stadium yet?
Yeah, man, we're all at the stadium, standing right here with Cataract and Mark, my little son, right? And we're doing the tailgating party. We don't really go inside of the stadium yet.
Okay.
But it's still off, everybody. It's still off. I mean, the stadium is crowded. It's already filling up. People getting them food and thing and getting ready to walk into the stadium, you know?
Right. So you say, so how the vibes? So have you guys had a chance to meet the players? How are the vibes?
You're Cataract. Come on in. I see a lot of USA supporters here.
Right.
But to be honest with you, they all look subdued.
They look subdued.
Yeah, man, they don't look like what they know. They look like they don't know what to expect. So the Jamaicans, every Jamaican I see have a smile on their face. And all of the Americans I see are eating them food and them look kind of worried. So, I hope to God that is the real situation on the field. But right now, there's a buzz, and of course, we're all hoping for the best.
So here's my question: are we overconfident?
I think we have reason to be confident, right? So I don't overconfident might suggest that is a false hope. I don't think it's a false hope. What happens on the field will happen on the field. I don't think it's a false hope, but it can either go good or go bad. But it's definitely not a false hope. I wouldn't call it overconfident. I think there's good reason to believe.
Yeah. 1 second, Omar. 1 second. Yeah, Andre.
Omar said that Jamaicans have reasons to believe. Could you ask him to give a couple of those reasons?
So Omar, did you hear that question?
I couldn't hear it.
So the question is, you're saying Jamaica has reasons to believe, and we're not overconfident. And Andre's question is, can you provide some of those rationale or reasons as to why we should believe that we're going to be successful?
Well, I mean, listen, as last night we went to the team hotel, we spoke to officials, on background, and the thought in the camp is that amongst the footballing pros, amongst the fans, the talk is that this is the time to win. We're more likely to win this time than any other time based on the people we have on the field, based on the fact that the United States is fielding an experimental weaker team, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's
based on.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So based on the fact that they are feeling a weaker team and we're feeling potentially one of the strongest teams we've ever assembled. I think there's good reason. I mean, yes, we have not played together. Yes, we didn't have the preparation we wanted. But many of the guys on the field have played together. They played against Mexico. They played in the last unsuccessful World Cup qualification. So there are a core of players that are there. And the guys that we've added, and Gray and the other guys who played in Austria, Russell and Lati Bodir and these other guys, they're really the ones who need to catch up to speed. And they've had the opportunity to play with us in Austria. It wasn't successful, but what we do know is that the core of the team, the large majority of the team have played together before. So there's some sort of synergy between them. It's just about how these guys fit into that system, into that same system that we saw work against Mexico.
What's the fan support like for Jamaica attendance at the game? Because if you're saying it's sold out and we're in Chicago, I don't know if any large contingent population there. People may travel. What does it look like?
Based on my observation, the Jamaicans here are number in the thousands.
Wow.
And
it's not South Coast or North Coast or East Coast, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, that is how it looked to me. You know, I could be wrong, but I know that there are sections that were designated Jamaican sections that are completely filled. The section that we are in 321 is completely filled, and for us, everybody there probably are Jamaican. You know, so I would say number in the thousands, but I have to be truthful though. This is the USA, so we are outnumbered, but you know, when it comes to battle, give me 5,000 Jamaicans versus 10,000 other people, and I like our chances.
Right.
Hey,
Well,
Cataract.
I'm gonna reach out to you as at halftime, frankly.
Yeah.
So look forward to giving me a call.
But Cataract, before you go,
Yeah, man, definitely.
One second, Omar.
could we get Cataract?
P4.
He said to give Cataract say a few words.
Yo, you know, sorry guys, Cataract went to fetch some people. Went to fetch some people from the food section.
Yeah, when he's in that event, he's always eating. By the way, I've observed it.
What has happened is that many guys are at D1, many people are at D4.
Okay.
And so people are walking back and forth between those two sections.
Okay. All right.
Omar, any prediction on the score tonight?
And what's your score prediction?
My score prediction?
Yeah.
I would say 3-1.
3-1 who?
Jamaica, of course.
Wow.
All right, Omar. Thanks. This is Neo, everyone. Our resident lawyer. Neo is at the game. Went down from New York. So thanks, Neo. We reach back to you at halftime. We're gonna do a watch along subsequent to this pregame show. So we'll reach back out to you.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Everybody in the chat, everybody watching, big up, guys. We'll strong. We're gonna do it today.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Cool.
Kronke, that was a nervous laugh on that 3-1.
Look, so I see my friend Apollo in Arsenal 101. Apollo, it is 2:00 in the morning, and you're up. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Apollo, by the way, has a Arsenal channel, and I join him a lot of times on his channel. It's Arsenal 101, and also so if you're an Arsenal fan, you want to engage and be part of that community, you can join up on Arsenal 101. It's online. Apollo, thanks for joining. What were you saying, Andre?
Well, look, this is a big moment for Jamaica tonight. The guys on YouTube has done a lot of work. I would say a lot of good work. There's been, people would question some of it, but I think they have kept the Jamaican football alive, kept the Jamaican football on the front burner, keep people talking about it, holding people accountable. So there's a lot invested in this game tonight.
No, I agree with you. And it was interesting because if you hear the interview with Gray, when they're talking about him switching allegiance and the process that led to it, he mentioned a number of different avenues where people reached out to him, whether it was Bailey, when he was at Leverkusen with Bailey, whether it was West Morgan when he was at Leicester, talked to him. But he also mentioned people DMing him. So apart from the coach engaging him, Jamaicans requesting or besieging him to come and join the program. So he was feeling all this love from so many different angles and so many different avenues. It made his decision easier, right? It was a long process for him. His process was a little bit complicated, but eventually he's here. And here's what was interesting, Andre. He inferred, you mentioned this earlier, that there's more coming. So people don't realize what he was saying, which is the vibes is there. And I get from what he was saying, there's more on the horizon. I don't have any inside information. I want to make sure I qualify these things. But from what Gray was saying, and sometimes these kids talk together, right? They talk amongst each other about, what you're doing. They play against each other. They talk amongst each other. They play on same junior teams that are coming to the ranks. They all may play for England under 16, 17, 19, 21. They talk, and he seemed to infer that there are more coming. So it'll be interesting, that thing you brought up earlier, which is how do we deal with the influx of individuals who have been nationalized? And I must say this from my end, get over it. It's all about quality, get over it.
Look, those guys could see, I'm sure, their process the opportunity to play at a World Cup, that it's a very likely thing that would happen, that Jamaica would go to the next World Cup, because of how things are set up out of the CONCACAF region, and the fact that the World Cup has been hosted by America, and Mexico and Canada. So, and the additional spots. So I'm sure those guys could see that clearly, and know that it's a very good calculation to say, well, I'm going to go play for Jamaica. And there's going to be a lot of football here in the US over the next few years, because anywhere the World Cup goes, prior to that, major competitions, I think they've already committed the Club World Cup here, in what, 2025, 24.
Yeah, and they're expanding number of teams, aren't they?
Right,
It's a
I
much
think
more
32
expansive
teams or something like that. So it's an easy one. What needs to happen is a proper, because the people, the kids, the young people, the guys that play in the JPL, they need to have some hope too, right? They need to have hope that they can still represent the country. So that's going to be the balance. But at the end of the day, the coach's job is to pick the best players and win football matches for Jamaica. And that might
my
be
hope
somebody
is,
else's
look,
job.
my hope is that there is a trickle-down effect, right? The more I build my program, the better players I get in, the more revenues I generate, the more I can improve my infrastructure. I can improve my coaching. I can bring in new coaching. I can bring in new methods. My hope is that when you build up your team and you generate resources, you can invest in yourself and allow you then to improve your program. I'm going to do an analogy between, say, cricket and football. If you look at cricket's progress over the years for the West Indies versus the other industrialized countries, when I was growing up, India, New Zealand, England, who cares? They weren't that good. We had raw talent, but people didn't invest in the sport as much. When those countries started really investing in the sport, that dynamics changed. They became much better, and we got left behind because the raw talent alone didn't work as much as them.
Yeah, that wasn't enough.
Right? No, it wasn't enough. I mean, you look at India as a perfect example, where the BCCI their board, they have 1 billion people. They generate income for cricket. They can invest in cricket across the nation, and they become one of the better teams over time, while we have stagnated or regressed, and they have moved forward, because at the end of the day, a lot of times it's a money game.
Right.
And also it's about how you invest the money. It's a money game. And I think we have to realize that. So if we can bring in players who are Jamaicans, because they have a passport, so they're Jamaicans, I don't care where they're from, the goal should be for them to play for the national team. If you're good enough, you're old enough, and if you're good enough, you should play. And a perfect example is Whisper, who is part of this contingent. Would there have been concerns expressed about him, not only just about his youth, but he's not playing any football at a certain level currently. You don't have a team like a Revel doesn't, and should be in the squad. But the coach sees something in the player and brings him along, whether it's for the experience or an impact sub.
Right.
He think he should be there. So if you're a local player, as you see with Bailey or with Whisper, who would just sign a contract with Chelsea, and will be there when he becomes 18. So at the end of the day, if you're good enough, you're old enough, and if you're a local developed player and you're good enough, you should be in the team.
And that's all should matter. Is are you good enough? And good meaning not just being able to play football, but have the right mentality and everything else on and off the field, right? And whether you play in Jamaica, in America, in England, or wherever, if you're good enough, you should be part of the team. If you can help the is the starting lineup out as yet?
I am going to look for it right now, because it should be up by now. It's an hour before the game normally comes out, between half an hour and an hour before the game. So I got to go find it. All I'm seeing here, projected start. If anyone has the starting lineup, make sure you're credible. You have to substantiate whatever you give me. I'm trying to find the starting lineup. And they go on the CONCACAF site. But if I get the lineup, we're going to be concluding the pregame at 9:10 Eastern Standard Time, which is 8:10 Central or 8:10 Jamaica time. We'll come back on 10 minutes before the game start. The game is 10:06 Eastern Standard Time, 9:06 Central Time and Jamaica time. The game is on ESPN in the Caribbean, and it's on Fox 1 in the US. And my understanding is also on the YouTube channel, but don't quote me on that because I'm not totally sure on that one. CONCACAF YouTube channel. Normally they do have the games there. But I'm going to try to find the starting lineup. I'm on the CONCACAF channel. I don't see it yet. Try to find the starting lineup, and I will post it. Normally I have a good site to be able to do so. It's not showing me lineup though. I don't see the lineup any place yet. If someone has the lineup, I would really welcome you posting it. I can put it up. I have this app here which normally has the lineup in it, but it's not showing it. So
yeah, it's not.
I don't see it. Maybe I post like if the game is 10:06, they post it at 9:06. But it will be an interesting. By the way, everyone, please smash the like button if you want other people to watch the stream. I think that's how the YouTube metrics or algorithm works. So please hit the like button if you like the discussion. So Andre, what is your prediction? Actually, we only have about 8 minutes left. What's your prediction?
I think it's a 1-1 tie.
You think it's a 1-1 tie? Interesting.
Yeah. I think Jamaica is capable of winning the game, but I think it's a 1-1 tie. Keeping in mind that in these tournaments, you can lose your first game and still win the tournament.
Okay.
All right.
That is true.
So I don't think the result is the end of the world for any of these teams. But I think this game is if this game, if Jamaica is going to win this game, they're going to run away with it. From very early on.
Sure Improvement said the squad is out. So let's see how this team and then what we picked. He said if this is correct, I can't confirm this. This comes from Sure Improvement. I was trying to find it. It says Blake, Lowe, Dexter, Mariapa, Bell, Bobby, Antonio Gray, Leon. 360 is the same team I picked, wasn't it? If that's the case, isn't it the same team? I don't think there's any. I don't see Latvia, but wait 1 second.
Gray, Leon, Bobby, Antonio.
I don't see. So where's the middle? The middle has Bell. This doesn't make sense. Lowe, Dexter, Mariapa, Bell. We're short a player here, aren't we? 3, 6, 9. Are you sure this is the team? Sure Improvement. You need to improve your code. I think you have 9 players here. We're still trying to find a starting lineup. I'm not sure Improvement got his in for form, but he's missing. He only has 9 players. We don't have any midfielders apart from. I don't even see a midfielder there. He forgot the midfield. If he does have a team, if that's the team.
Look, 101 Arsenal is dismissing the other 2 teams in the group.
So they're dismissing your team.
Yeah. That's not a good idea. That's not a good idea at all.
Are you saying Jamaica don't really beat Trinidad, right? You do a good enough job against Jamaica on a regular basis.
I think they would know that. The interesting thing is that even the players that was in Jamaica the other day, those aren't the players that's in the Trinidad team now. Is this the starting lineup here?
That's what I think he's probably suggesting. I don't want to send any false narrative, but let me just see.
No, just look, because he have numbers with it.
No, it's not. No, I don't think that's not the start. That's just a bunch of players. Does anyone in the chat have a starting lineup? Trying to find it, but I haven't seen it.
This is saying it's 24 minutes to kick off.
What's saying it's 24 minutes?
An app that I use here saying it's 24. The time is counting down, 24 minutes and 20 seconds.
I don't think it. Well, why does it say unless they change the time? Now it's saying
I think
9:30. Did
it's
they change
supposed
the
to be
game time?
9:30 Eastern.
It did say 10:06, so maybe they changed the time actually. Maybe it is 9:30. 9:31. Let me check on that actually. That's interesting. Because I had 10:06 before, and I got 10:06 from a source who is at the game, who should know. So I don't know. I don't know how that changed. I got 10:06 from a source. No, I have a lot of sources at the game.
Yeah, but you just spoke to one.
I just spoke to one. Yeah, I thought it was 10:06. So let me go back and check. Let me give people a wrong time. Because it's saying 9:06 on my app here also. I have an app here saying 9:06. So I'm not sure why it's saying that. When I was told it was 10:06, I checked online. What I'm gonna do is check Fios because Fios is bringing the game.
I think the game is 9:30.
That's interesting. So I'm on Fox. It says Fox 1, which is interesting. It says Fox 1.
It's on FS1 in the US.
It says 53 minutes remaining. So I think the app is jumping the gun.
I
think it's supposed to be 10:06 actually. Well, just to be sure, everyone, go on the channel you're gonna watch the game on
at 9:30.
Even though I am getting conflicted information, because I was told it was 10:06 from a good source. I checked online, it says 10:06. And I'm in the app here at Fox 1 and it says 53 minutes remaining, so it should be 10:06.
So the Jamaican team is overflowing with talent.
Who's saying that?
CONCACAF on CONCACAF website.
Oh, it says JFF. So let me see JFF website. JFF football. Okay, so the lineup for the game, this is from the JFF website. Maybe I could put it up. It says Blake, Bell, Mariappa, Lowe, Limbakisa, Lati, Lambert, Reed, Gray, Bailey, Antonio. So the one player which was missing from this is Lambert, actually, which is interesting. I never considered Lambert as part of this team. So we'll have to, that's really interesting.
So
Lambert is starting. Gray is starting. So is Reed, so is Bailey, so is Antonio.
Shaman Nicholson isn't starting, right?
No, the exception here, which is interesting,
Daniel Johnson?
Is Daniel Johnson.
Daniel Johnson, yeah.
That is really interesting.
And is it? I wonder if it's a 4-4-2 formation.
So Kevin Lambert is starting here beside Lati. That's a really interesting change there. So DJ's on the bench. I bet that must be a shock to DJ, to his system. So that's interesting, actually. Very interesting.
Well,
I wouldn't have expected this. I wouldn't have expected this. What are your thoughts in the chat? What are your thoughts?
It's Leighton here is saying that it is a 4-4-2.
Yeah. What are your thoughts in the chat? Do you like the lineup? And this is the lineup. Do you like the lineup that's here? This is the lineup for the game. You can see the players on the bench. Do you think this is a good starting team? I must admit, when I see Lambert play, I haven't seen him play in such a way in which I would say I think he only played one of the games, the second game. He didn't play the first game. He played against Jordan. I didn't even see him in the game to say he should be starting. But the coach knows best. He's making a decision. And you can see the people on the bench. Regular substitute: Paris, Richards, Nicholson, Burke, Boyce, Clark, Waite, Bernard, and Johnson. So this is the team, everyone. This is a team that we're going to try to use to beat the US. It's a good team. It's one person different from what I picked. I had DJ there, to Lambert, but the rest of the players are no surprise. I thought Mariappa has gotten a little bit slow and therefore may not have started. And maybe he would have used Bernard, but it's a good team, but Lambert is the one outsider that's there.
Is Michael Ramsey Cataract little brother?
Who? Michael 8-0 USA. So Michael Ramsey saying. I'm not sure where Michael Ramsey got that from. Actually, that's an interesting scoreline. I don't think this team can get 8 from most teams in the world, much less from a second-rate US team.
I think he's trying to cause some problems.
Yeah, well, some people do that, right? I don't think we'll get 8 from.
No, that's not.
I don't think that's possible. Actually,
everything has to go wrong. Everything.
I don't think it's. Maybe 8. If you get 8, we're gonna score 8.
Yeah, and that makes it a tie, right? So, look, I can see the coach on the television here. He's smiling.
Okay.
He's smiling. He's walking around the pitch. The players are walking out on the pitch, checking the surface.
Well, everyone, this broadcast scheduled to be finished at 9:10. We're 2 minutes over time. We're gonna come back.
Yeah,
we're coming back for the game and watch along. So please join us and hit the like button before you leave. But we're coming back at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 o'clock Jamaica time, and also 9 o'clock Central Time if you're in the Midwest, to watch the game, give our analysis, give our perspective. We'll get some communication from those who are at the game. Maybe we can get Cataract on and Neil on to talk about what they're seeing, what they're feeling in the stadium, what the vibes are. But we are all optimistic. We have our fingers crossed. I'm sure some people are praying. Others are pretty confident that we get a positive outcome tonight. Any last word, Andre, before we close?
Yeah,
you're going to come back for the game.
Yeah, before we go, let me say that what we could be witnessing is a shift in the balance of power. If Mexico does not get their act together, Jamaica versus the USA is going to be the game that creates the same excitement that we are accustomed to between the US and Mexico.
Yes, what we're aspiring to is our football team to be like our track team. That's it.
That's it, right?
We want our football team to give us the same pleasure track teams do. We go to championships and we don't get the goals we get, and we get frustrated, even though we've got a number of goals. That's what we want. We want the same way we see the ladies performing now, when both days and both perform, and the men are getting better. We want the same sort of view and the same set of confidence based on outcomes for a football team as we have for a track team. So
we're heading in the right direction, I think. But
yes, I think so too.
We have another hour probably before.
Yeah, so we're gonna close this and come back for the 10 o'clock game on another stream. So everyone, thank you for joining us. Get your refreshments together, get your neighbors together, go in front of the TV, get your device on at the same time to watch us as we're watching the game. We look forward to having more of this discussion in a wee bit. So
make sure you have your defibrillator.
See you soon. Bye, everyone.